Have you heard about Jay Gatsby? By Millie Sheep, a Batman All Media Types fanfic rated for general audiences, with additional tags for attempt at humor, fluff and humor, angst and humor, social media, social anxiety, identity reveal, identity issues, protective Barbara Gordon, mentioned Kyle Rayner, minor Kyle Rayner / Jason Todd, tags may change, Jason Todd-centric, Jason Todd needs a hug, Jason Todd has feelings. Summary. As Jason's internet persona grows in popularity, so does Jason's worries. Worries about keeping his identity secret, worries about his family finding out, worries about who he is with and without Jay Gatsby. Then someone figures it out. Chapter 1. Who is Jay Gatsby for real? Things have been weird lately. Not really in a bad way, just weird. Maybe that's just because Jason wasn't really used to things being not only nice, but consistently nice. His family and others were actively seeking him out to hang out. Dick would actually ask him about the books he was reading. And Tim would talk about video recording equipment. Steph was still trying to get him into dark romance, and Jason was pretty sure Babs was encouraging her. Duke and Damien were both seeking him out to help with their studies. Cass was inviting, i.e., dragging him, out more. Hell, he even started hanging out with Kyle Rayner again. And the weirdest bit, Bruce was leaving him the fuck alone. Not only avoiding him because he was upset, or Jason was being a problem again, but actually giving Jason space. He'd occasionally send a text message, and Jason actually would reply. Their conversations didn't go much deeper than, "Did you see that Knights game?" But it was nice. Babs would occasionally ask about his YouTube channel, occasionally suggesting her own books, but nothing more was said about it, and Jason was thankful about that. But outside of Barbara, only Duke and Damien knew about his hobby. All was well, but there was one little thing. "You should try streaming," Barbara said at one of her and Jason's little lunch outings. Jason was pretty sure Cass had put the idea in Barbara's head. "Streaming? What the fuck is that?" Jason blinked. Barbara stared at Jason for a long moment before saying, "You know, I forgot you are missing, years and years of pop culture." "You phrase that like it's a bad thing." "I'm sorry, I'm not hip with the kids." As soon as the words left his mouth, Barbara gave him the flattest stare. "Anyway," she eased her gaze after a moment, but then continued. "Streaming is like doing a live show. You set up recording, and you have a chat you can interact with while you do what you do. Some people stream gameplay, some just do commentary, there's a bunch of stuff. I'll show you." Babs then pulled out her phone and pulled up some people who were streaming. "Charity stream?" Jason asked, as he leaned across the table to see her phone. "Of course you hone in on that." Babs sighed, but gave an affectionate pat on Jason's arm. "But yeah, some people make good money through people paying to subscribe to their channels and donations. In charity streams, all the money you make from the stream goes to charity." "Oh, that's cool." Barbara smiled as Jason watched the stream on her phone. "Yeah, sometimes they set goals and do a special event to reach the goal." "Huh." Jason hadn't really thought about streaming again. Something had ended up coming up. Well, actually, a few things had come up, but it all tied back to Jason's channel. Roy was leaning back drinking his coffee, with the smug look he typically wore after figuring some little thing out, especially if it was a thing about Jason. It was really just a game to this guy, and the only reason Jason wasn't strangling him right now was because of Leanne, and definitely not because he'd really miss him otherwise. But they sat in the quiet, open-air cafe Roy had suggested, because he was at least trying to soften the blow by offering to pay for Jason's cheesecake and coffee. "You're a son of a bitch," Jason muttered as he ate a piece of cake. "Uh-huh." Roy took another long sip, still smiling. Jason just groaned, putting down his fork and putting his head in his hands. Look, Jaybird. Roy put his cup down, softening his smile. I'm happy for you. It seems like this has been a really good thing for you. You sound like Barbara. That's a compliment. She's a smart lady. Roy tipped his cup. Anyway, you missed the majority of your teens. Hell, even your young adult years have been doing... Roy picked up the dessert menu and adjusted some pretend glasses. Cult shit, traveling, training, cult shit again, taking over Gotham's drug trade, mercenary work. Do you have a point? Roy put the menu down. My point is that you need a life outside of that. You've missed a lot of typical life stuff that even I got, and you're finally doing some of that. It's a bit of peace that you deserve. Hell, you know Clark isn't always Superman, and Ollie isn't always Green Arrow. I'm not always Arsenal. Jason hummed. He could see Roy's point. Barbara had said something similar. It's just embarrassing. That got Roy to pause. Look, Jason, I get it's hard for you to trust people with this, and you probably are going to get some teasing, but if it seriously bugs you, I'll stop and help you tell the others to knock it off. It's why I didn't say anything. I just wanted to enjoy this. I'm not bothered by it, and I am taking it just like Kyle did, as something to be proud of you for. Don't bring him into this. Jason sighed. Roy took a sip of his coffee. Well, Hal said he'll probably be back in a few weeks. With another shrug, Jason looked out the window. I left him a message to call me. I'm just going to not think about it. With a sympathetic nod, Roy said, Well, I'll be there. Probably could talk to Connor and Donna if you want to gang up on people. It's fine. Jason shook his head. He seriously didn't want to think about it right now. So he did what he did best. Deflect. I hope you know something, Roy. What? Now, I know you know. I will be using you for content. Jason finally put on a small smile. His best friend stared at him a little, before erupting in laughter. Anytime, Jaybird. Gatsby Reviews. Kids Book. Jay Gatsby walks on screen with a pile of books. He set the books on the coffee table, before sitting on a familiar black futon. Okay, so first, let's define the word obscure. Text appears on the screen as Jason reads it aloud. Obscure. Adjective. Not prominent or famous. Not clearly seen or easily distinguished. Jay then picks up the book, Island of the Blue Dolphins, as he then points to the Gold Star medal at the bottom. This is the John Newbery medal. It's given to certain children's books by the Association of Library Service to Children for their contribution to children's literature. It and the Caldecott Medal are two of the highest awards a children's book can get. Jay looks directly at the camera with a flat stare. Anyone who's been following my TikTok probably is catching my drift at this point. Any book with those medals are not obscure. It's actually the complete opposite. Now, children's literature kind of isn't as well respected as, say, adult literature is, and you don't see people talking about it as much, but it's still important. These are books that shape who we are as readers and people. Jay eventually relaxes as he puts down Island of the Blue Dolphins and picks up Anna of Green Gables. Now, while there are some obscure kids' books, this is not one of them, by the way. This book came out in 1908. I do want to talk about books I loved as a kid, because that's more important than how obscure they may or may not be. Obscurity doesn't matter. What the book meant to you as a kid does. And I had kind of a rough childhood. The library kind of became my sanctuary. Some of you might have figured that out given how I've been partnering with Gotham City Public Library. Jay looks away from the camera and took the book in his hands. He's quiet for a moment, but there's a soft look in his eyes. It is only a moment, though, as he then takes a deep breath and he shows the book again. And Anna of Green Gables is one of my favorite books. And here's why. 4,322 comments. At Sif Wolf of Legend, I am kind of really glad that Jay did this. Like, not only is he kind of pointing out how not obscure a lot of books in those TikToks are, but, like, he didn't devalue how important they were to people. I really loved Boxcar Children, but I don't think it's an unheard of series. At Tired Blade Master, and no one here was surprised that one of Jay's favorite children's books is about an independent young girl finding her place in the world. At Pixel Poetry. Honestly, I get it with him being adopted himself. He probably saw a bit of himself in Anna. I know looking back at my love of PJO books was because I was an undiagnosed ADHD, and I saw not only issues I dealt with, but in a positive light. At Smash Play. Actually, something that comes up if you study education and kids lit is the importance of representation. I'm an education major, and I took a children's lit class, and they had me read this essay called Windows, Mirrors, and Sliding Doors. It's a great starting read. At See Like Vibe. Only in a Jay Gatsby comment section will you see an actual positive discussion. At Like It Lurk It. Have you met the mod? We are on a tight leash here, LMAO. At Oracle. I was always more of a Nancy Drew person. At Jay Gatsby for real. You know, she is kind of the peak of the teen detective, but Trixie Belden is underrated. At Playback Punk. What about the Hardy Boys? At Jay Gatsby for real. You mean Nancy's sidekicks? At Best Boy Conroy. The Magic Thief mention, I'm screaming. At Glitter Floof. You know, the amount of mystery books Jay had read is kinda surprising, given, like, his whole brand is romance. At Cyber Days. Yeah, the Sherlock Holmes books were both a surprise and not at the same time. Like, it's a classic, I guess. At Dreamwave Echo. It's giving burnt-out gifted kid. At Dreamwave Echo. Because what do you mean you read The Hobbit, Sherlock Holmes, and then Romana the Pest in the same year? So, Jason's friends knew about his channel. Roy, Donna, and even fucking Eddie and Rose knew. It was really embarrassing, and they had all actually been really supportive. And when Jason had told Barbara, of course they are, Barbara said as she stirred up her tea. It's a great thing, Jason. You are doing good, and you seem more relaxed. You know we all support you with this. Jason nodded. I guess it feels weird. It was more than just a little weird, but Jason wasn't going to say that, because it wasn't just that they knew, it was that Jason was kind of okay with them knowing. It felt like it should have been a bigger deal, but it wasn't. And weirder still, Jason felt he could turn to Barbara, ask her for help, or just talk it out, in a way he hadn't been able to do since he was Robin. Jay, if anyone makes fun of you for this, I'd destroy them. Barbara looked at Jason with such a serious expression that Jason couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, thank you, Barbara. I still think you should start talking to a therapist. The fact you were so in a knot about this. She gave him a little look as she tilted her drink towards Jason. Yeah. Jason scoffed. That will go over so well. I'm here because I don't like people knowing I make videos online. It would be more like, hi, I have a problem being perceived in a positive light. You know, as a bat, our whole thing is not being perceived. Again, Barbara just leveled Jason with a flat stare. At least I'm not as bad as Brucey. Jason shrugged. Oh, so this is your Brucey Wayne? Okay. The offense Jason felt from that was nearly overpowering, which, combined with Barbara's little smirk, had Jason feeling himself physically recoil. Hell no. Then who is Jay Gatsby? The answer got caught in Jason's throat as he forced it out. He's me. No one special. Barbara hummed slightly as she drank her coffee, and they let the conversation die. The moment of quiet might have been nice if Jason's thoughts hadn't been buzzing. It didn't last long, though, and Barbara could sense Jason beginning to spiral. So she did what she did best. So, has Kyle messaged you back yet? Shut the hell up. Chapter 2. Who is Jay? The stream idea, despite the chaos of Jason's life, stuck. And well, if people had to know about his little internet popularity, he might as well put those bastards to work. Barbara sighed as she swatted Roy's hand away. I got this. All right. He put his hands up. We could definitely fit something bigger in there. More powerful. Sure, but Jay is literally only using this to charity stream. Barbara pointed out. We don't need to be pushing alien text anywhere. Plus, people are gonna want the spec. You're right. Roy nodded. This is just the first time I've seen Jay have any interest in this. Plus, I got excited. He's so old-fashioned. You know he still uses paper files? Jason! Barbara snapped her head. Jason didn't bother putting his book down. He just hummed. By the way, Jay, Roy said before Barbara could continue scolding about security. What have you been editing and uploading your videos on if not a computer? Jason just nodded towards the old laptop, but then, as if finally processing Roy's words, he looked up. I don't really edit much. I just kind of rant and then post it, making sure the audio is clear, transcribe it, and then post it. Both Roy and Barbara looked at him. Do you like to edit your TikTok or Instagram posts? Not really. Again, Jason shrugged. This is so unfair. This guy has more followers than my official account, and he's just not giving a shit. Maybe I should make him run the library's accounts. Barbara hummed in agreement. Or sick Bruce's PR team on him. Now wouldn't that be funny? Jay Gatsby suddenly becomes the face of WE. Annoying as that would be. Jason gave Barbara a half-hearted glare. Bruce is literally the last person I want to talk to about this. I thought we moved past you with this. He waved his hand. Since it's not really hidden. Look, I'm aware most of the family probably knows, but I'm trying not to think about that and gaslighting myself. But I know Steph definitely does know. Jason couldn't help but sigh. On that, Barbara, stop Steph from giving me dark romance books. I'm not going to read Haunting Adeline. You know, she's 90% doing it just to see you get like this. Jason could feel his eye twitch. He could feel how warm his face had started to get. He'd really felt like he'd been losing his grip on keeping his expression tight lately. So he took a deep breath. If she doesn't stop, I'm going to stop answering her texts. He was praying the gravity of his voice would work. And you both said, you would kick people's asses who were teasing me. Oh yeah, I'll let her know it's gone a little too far. You should tell Corey, Roy pointed out. She'd love this. Actually, seeing you with her model persona, it would totally blow up. I mean, I'll talk to her, but I'm trying to keep this low-key. Again, Barbara and Roy shared a look. Look at this guy. Roy gestured his thumb back at Jason. On the fast track to 1 million subscribers, and I'm trying to be low-key. You got something to say, Harper? Jason snapped his book closed. How are talks with the charity? Good. Jason took the distractor and opened his book again. I'll probably get Tim to move some WE stuff around, so they can get a second large donation, since their fund is only about halfway met right now. Barbara went back to work, putting together Jason's new computer. I think you're underestimating your popularity right now. Actually, maybe you should set up goal rewards. Huh? If you get $1 million, you admit you're actually the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul, who was resurrected by the demon Batman. What the fuck? Barbara was laughing. You saw that post? I did. Roy laughed. It was great because it was so close. It was! What are you guys even talking about? Gatsby Reviews. The Poppy War. Plus special announcement. Jay is wrapping up his review, and his posture slowly eases as he shifts his weight before taking a deep breath. So, yeah, well, I wouldn't call this a romance book. It was a great read with a lot to say, so thank you for the recommendation. Now, I did promise you guys a special announcement, so here we are. He seems a little nervous, but again, takes a deep breath. I've decided to test out streaming. Not full-time, but as a charity event. Most of you probably know by now, I don't make a ton from this, because I don't do sponsorships or anything, and anything I do make, I tend to donate. I'm not the type who likes having a ton of money. It makes me super anxious. He lets out another sigh, but looks at the camera, and his eyes make it look like he's genuinely smiling, with his arms folded across his chest. Anyway, I like helping people, and a friend pointed me in the direction of doing a charity stream, so I ended up contacting Heart to Heart. This year has been rough on Gothamites, and a lot of people have been displaced. Heart to Heart is a non-profit, and hasn't made its operation goals for the year, and I thought we could give them a hand. So I'll be live streaming on my new Twitch channel next week. My friend set me up with a new computer and everything I might need, so hopefully it will go smoothly. Jay pauses a second. I suppose I should tell you about the donation goals. Personally, I'd like to get to 300,000, but we'll get what we can get. But when we break our first goal of $1,000, I'll be doing a request raffle. There will be a few rules, of course. No more ice hockey romance. He laughs. Well, it's more like a chuckle, but his head is tilted back, and his arms relax down by his sides. That's a joke, but anyway, I did want that goal a bit lower, as I know times are hard, but I got convinced that we'll be able to make it. But the top 30K goal is a Q&A, since I know I've been pretty private. I feel a bit bad about that, given all the support you've given me, so I'll answer some questions you guys offer. Thanks. 7,342 comments. At TechFist. Hell yeah! I've already followed your Twitch. This is great. At Angel Wave. I feel like Jay is underestimating how many people are gonna come to this thing, lol. At Luna Lounge. Can one of the rewards be a shirt removal? At Dream Phase. You haven't been around long enough to know of Mama T, have you? At Ratboy420 Funny. Okay. J stream great. J Q&A, I am thankful for the advanced warning so I can save money to donate. I need my questions answered. At Like It Lusted. He's not gonna confirm your insane theory, Rat. At Ratboy420 Funny. Please. At Method Punk. Why is no one talking about Jay's laugh? It's so sweet. He's so excited to help people, what the fuck? At ASDFWER. A fanfiction reading? Fuck yeah, let's go! So, I guess I should start by introducing my co-host here. Jason smiled behind his mask. This is my friend Roy, who pretty much knows how to run the tech. I'm being punished for the sin of supporting my friends, Roy said behind the camera, as he waved his hand in front of it. If you're being punished for something, it's your book recommendations. Jason gave him a flat look. If you want to support me, ask Waylon to give you Rex. You can just ask Waylon to start with. I'll pretend it's from you, because I'm such a good friend. Jason put a hand on his chest. He looked at the laptop screen, where he'd set up the chat box. Roy didn't really want to be on camera, so they had it set up in Jason's typical post, with a new computer on the table in front of Jason's coffee table and couch. Roy was sitting at the computer and behind the camera. Barbara was acutely online, having already taken over mod duties. Jason did at least have a basic understanding that he would need at least one moderator, and there was literally no one more qualified than Babs. Stream chat. Welcome to the chat room. At Like It Lusted. First, I'm so happy, J-Stream. Ratboy420 Funny. Low-key amazing feeling watching Jay live for the first time. Ninja Ghostly. Wow, everything seems set up so nicely for the first time stream. Jay nodded at the last comment. I might not know a lot about streaming or the internet, but Roy and my mod do, so they pretty much took care of the setup. I was told to just show up. There was then a little ding. Hey, we've got our first dono. Roy looked back and smiled at Jason. $5 from Emote Exploiter, and they say, super excited for the first stream. I have work, but good luck, Jay. Aw, that's sweet. Jason smiled. Thanks. Good luck at work. Stream chat. Dudebot. Is Roy our text-to-speech? Glitter viral. Wait, is this like Roy from Roy's recommendations? Jason looked down at the chat, then at Roy, pressing his lips together under his mask, trying to hold in his laughter, as he could see Roy read the chat and his eyebrows slowly raise. So, we got people already thinking I'm a bot? As unbelievable as it is, Jason does have friends. I have loads of friends. Jason sat up a little bit taller and folded his arms. That got a snort out of Roy. Okay, but how many weren't friends of your brothers first? Jason's mouth opened, then snapped closed. Are we counting if I knew they knew him or not? No, any association is out. Like, they can know about him? I mean, like, everyone knows him? Roy waved his hand. But if they were friends or trained, out. Well, there's Eddie. Jason started counting on his fingers. I introduced him to Artemis and Biz. There's Isabella. Does an ex-girlfriend count? Roy tilted his head. We talk, Jason said defensively. The whole thing was my fault anyway. I really was not going into that dating thing with a clear head. But I'd think Essence counts too. And Kyle. Roy gave him a flat stare. That's 4 people and 2 exes. It's not my fault he's popular. And born like 6 years before me. Stream chat. Too cute coward. LMAO. Why was Kyle included with exes? Replying to Too Cute Coward. Sparkle Matrix XOX. He's soon to be, LOL. Palm shift. At Like It Lust It. And no one was surprised this motherfucker was here first. Replying to Palm shift. Like It Lust It. Sorry, we can't all be number 1. Nightbot. Welcome to the charity stream. Our first goal is $1,000. Sif Wolf of Legend. I'm late. Sif Wolf of Legend. At Like It Lust It. What did I miss? Replying to Sif Wolf of Legend. Like It Lust It. LMAO. Nothing yet. Just kinda starting up. Cosmo Vibe. Roy reveal? Reply to Like It Lust It. Palm shift. You aren't even number 1. That's his sister, apparently. Like It Lust It has subscribed. Like It Lust It. Oh, I almost forgot, also. Like It Lust It has gifted 10 tier 1 subs. Like It Lust It. This is the only time I've ever gifted, but as the fan club vice president, I feel it's my duty. Oracle. Glad to see we just started and everything's going smoothly. XD. Roy was trying to hold back his laughter. So, Like It Lust It subscribed and gifted 10 subs, saying, this is the only time I've ever gifted, but as the fan club vice president, I feel it's my duty. You're the Reddit person, right? The one who broke down Jay's dashing good looks. I'll come over there and smack you. Jason quickly covered his face. Stream chat. Like It Lust It. Has Jay read my post? Yeah. Jay sighed, seeing the message pop up. Kind of. Not directly. I'm only vaguely aware of Reddit, so I had no clue about your post until people started flooding in and talking about it. Even then, I didn't go and look at it until Babs read it out to me. The message took a few seconds to fully click with Jason. Wait, what do you mean posts? Like plural? Stream chat. Like It Lust It. I'm gonna fucking faint. Emote, not like this. Sif Wolf of Legend. Congrats, Lee. LMAO. Red Soda. Oh my god. Ratboy 420 Funny. How embarrassing. Hedgehogger. Wheeze. Oh my god, Lee. Look, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I guess it was kind of nice. Jason sighed. But real talk. I didn't expect to get into this early on, but I'm a pretty confident guy. You have to be in my line of work, but I never really cared about how I look, or really considered myself good-looking before. So, the post was sweet, and it was kind of refreshing to be seen like that. Most people think I look scary. And he is scary, but you nailed him on the head like it. Roy leaned back, glancing at Jason. He's got the moe gap. Tough looking on the outside, just a goofy mess on the inside. I still don't know what that means. Kyle will explain it to you. The only correct action was to then toss a pillow at Roy. So that's what Jason did. Chapter 3. Who is Jason Todd? Jason did not expect for the charity stream to go as well as it did. He definitely didn't expect to completely cover the charity's operation costs, which was double the goal he set. He definitely didn't expect to have to start planning his question and answer session pretty much right after the stream, or any of the other videos and requests he'd promised. Honestly, it would be a while before he streamed again. It was nice talking to everyone in real time and having an actual connection to his fans, but it was also a lot, and a lot he didn't know how to process. So, in a way, he was kind of glad for the work. Less glad, Babs had Stephanie helping her sort through all the questions he got. "How much do you actually bench?" Stephanie asked as she flipped through the hundreds of questions Babs printed out. They were hanging out at Jason's apartment, with Stephanie on the floor in a beanbag chair she'd brought with the piles of questions Barbara gave her. Apparently she wanted to help, but didn't know it would involve so much reading. Jason shrugged as he flipped through his book, sitting on his couch as music played in the background. Barbara wasn't letting him look at the questions, so some of it could be a surprise. Not that Steph really cared. Jason's sympathy for her tedious task was fairly limited, especially since she admitted that all her book recommendations were partially to annoy him and partially just to see his reaction. But honestly, Jason had read a few of her suggestions. Not that he was ever going to tell her that. Especially not when he barely finished the last raunchy book she had recommended him. Not because it was bad, but because he felt like a Victorian lady ready to faint. That was too embarrassing to admit. Well, that one's staying. Steph circled it with her highlighter. "Figure it out, Mr. Popular." "Sure, I'll get on that." "Anyone tell you how much fun you must be at parties?" "All the time." Jason flipped a page, still not bothering to look at her. "It's why I get invited to so many." "You know, I do know of a party on campus." "Nope." Buzzkill. Stephanie leaned back in her beanbag chair, tossing the papers to the side. "Anyway, when are you going to use me for content? You gave Duke and Damien that okay." "They're my brothers." Jason flipped the page. "And I'm not your sister? You literally said yesterday, if Bruce was your dad, you'd vomit out your large intestine." Jason glanced over the top of his book to flatly stare at Stephanie. "Of the soul of Gotham's streets?" With a short snort, Jason finally put down his book and looked at Stephanie. "Okay, so what would this content be like? What do you like to read? That's actually, appropriate, not just stuff you find on TikTok that you think will embarrass me." "Well, I have been putting off my English 1 readings." "So this is really about helping you with your homework?" Jason cocked an eyebrow. "I would have done that anyway." Stephanie paused a moment. "Maybe Duke is praising your tutoring." "But no, I'm trying to bond with you, dummy. And it just so happens your hobby is being internet famous. I am actually really glad this all happened." "I've been getting that a lot lately." Jason rubbed his temple. "Roy and Babs both say this has been good for me, doing normal people stuff." "I mean, I agree." Stephanie slowly started. "I think a therapist would probably help you more, but this is close enough for now, I guess. Having external validation and all that." She waved her hand around dismissively. "But also just having a hobby and stuff. That is, stuff you do on your own time, big guy. I mean, I support you, but this is, identity stuff. You have to figure it out yourself. I just sit here and cheer you on." "Super supportive stuff." The blonde just shrugged. Look, I've always known about this side of you. You fucking nerd. I'm just glad you've got other people seeing it. Makes me feel good. Jason was rolling his eyes, but he was also smiling. And then an idea hit him. You know, part of my deals was a cooking video. How do you feel about making crepes? Gatsby Reviews. Special. Cooking. Unlike most of Jay's videos, this one doesn't open with Jay on his black couch, but rather he is in a kitchen space. A clean and tidy kitchen with ingredients and bowls laid out on a large island in the middle of the kitchen. Jay himself is standing behind the island. He has his black mask on, but he's in a short-sleeved red shirt, and wearing a black apron that, in black text, says, "This shit is gonna be delicious." Jay is not alone. Next to him is a young lady in a long-sleeve purple shirt. Her long blonde hair is done up in a bun. She also has on an apron, but this one says, "Bitch can bake." Despite her own mask and folded arms, she looks rather pleased with herself. Jay waves as he starts the video. Well, as most of you know, I really like cooking and baking. Jay gestures to the ingredients and equipment in front of him. And I've done a few Instagram posts about my cooking. And one of the rewards for the charity stream was, well, a cooking video. So here we are. But it's not just me today. With me, today, from everyone's favorite mystery board game, we have Professor Plum's cousin. The lady snaps around to swat at Jay. "This is Eggplant and you know it!" She then turns to the camera and seems to smile. "I'm actually Steph, Jay's pseudo-sister, because we were meant to be siblings, but his brother is a loser and his dad is an asshole. His sister, though!" Jay snorts and tries to hide it with his hand. "Okay, anyway." He takes a deep breath and straightens up. "I've decided I'd knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I'd teach Stephanie how to make crepes, and get this video out for you. Also, remember questions are still being collected and counted for the Q&A. So, that will be out in a month or so." Jay's face softens, but doesn't look sad. "I really can't thank you guys enough for all you've donated to that charity stream. You were able to fill Heart to Heart's full operation costs for the year, and then some. You guys have helped hundreds of Gothamites who had been displaced from their homes." Steph's smile seems to be growing as she nudges Jason. "You know, I've been saying this guy's a softie for years now. I'm glad he's showing it." Yeah. Jay rolls his eyes and nudges her back. "Anyway, let's get started. So typically I chill the batter overnight, but you can keep it as short as 30 minutes. So we'll have Steph do that while I teach her how to cook with the batter I made yesterday." 8,332 comments. At Cluemaster Sucks Balls. I made more crepes for my friends yesterday. Got lots of compliments. So, thanks, Jay. At Sifwolf of Legend. Wait, aren't you on the Discord? At Cluemaster Sucks Balls. Cluemaster does suck major balls, so it's probably a different person. A person with great taste. At Acenth. I swear to fucking God, if Jay gets any more fucking attractive. At Slayer K. Crepes! He can make fucking crepes! At Underscroll. This is so fucking unfair, man. He's hot, loves his family, and can cook. At Like It Lust It. I'm a feral animal. I want that man. Carnally. So, Barbara clapped her hands as she smiled. I got all the questions compiled, and Roy is ready to help film. Jason leaned back on his couch as Stephanie and Cassandra both raised their hands. Jason could feel a vein in his head pulse as he raised his own hand. "Stephanie," Barbara pointed at the blonde. "Can I be the boom operator?" "Lame joke," Jason called. "I don't even have a boom mic." "We'll find a job for you." Barbara pointedly ignored Jason. "Now, Cassandra." "What job can I help with?" I thought you could hold the signs with the questions on them. Steph, actually, you can read them out loud for Jason." "Cool." "Sweet." Barbara smiled and looked at Jason. "Jace? Who else knows about this?" Silence filled the space for a moment before Stephanie started to make a long sound. Cassandra was looking off to the side, and Barbara was still looking directly at Jason. Again, Jason could feel the vein twitch. So, he slowly started. Literally everyone? Not confirmed, Steph offered. We honestly don't talk that much about it. A groan fell from Jason's mouth, and he buried his face in his hands. Even Bruce? Oh, Barbara weakly laughed. Dick told me he watches it religiously. Did you not see? He actually tweeted about your show. Jason curled into himself a little further. Look, no one really made the connection. Steph patted his back. I mean, one guy did, but he's also convinced that Batman's a demon and Bruce paid to resurrect you. Fuck me. Why did I even do this? Because it's a good hobby that helps not only you, but also that charity you donate to. Barbara's snap gave Jason enough of a mental jostle to get him to lift his head. Jason, I get this is hard for you in some ways, but it's good. Don't give a shit about what anyone thinks. Just keep doing it because it makes you happy. People love Jay Gatsby, and you have fun with it. Focus on that, you dummy. You could have left out the insult. Jason said, as he sat back and took a deep breath. It hit better. Barbara smirked, pulling another groan out of Jason. Steph was still patting Jason on the back, as Cassandra patted his knee. Wait, is that why Tim recommended me that book? Yeah, I can't believe you actually read the book Tim recommended, and not my recommendations. Steph finally relaxed back onto the couch. Things finally seemed to ease. Jason could still feel the knot in his stomach, but it was slowly unraveling. He thought about what Roy had said. Jason had missed so much of his life, even before he died. A lot of his childhood wasn't much of a childhood. The only time he really felt young was when he was living with Bruce, when he was Robin. But he could never go back to that. Never have it again. Jay Gatsby was someone people liked. People didn't look down on him as a street rat, as Bruce Wayne's charity case, as the aggressive Robin fail, the Robin who just wasn't as good as Dick Grayson. Barbara was still going over some stuff and talking about her new moderation, but Jason was barely listening. His eyes were cast down at his hands, resting in his lap. Cass slipped her hand into his, then Steph took his other. None of them looked at each other. Jason had spent so much time trying to be someone he thought the city needed. Even if he was unlikable, he'd be needed. He never really gave too much thought about who he really wanted to be. He really hadn't thought about it at all when he started, but now Jay Gatsby felt right, and he wasn't doing much, but being himself. It somehow felt like nothing and everything all at once. It was overwhelming. Bruce liked Jay Gatsby. The Batgirls liked Jay Gatsby. Likely the other Bat Boys liked Jay. Jason slowly closed his eyes. They liked him. Was it really that easy? Of course not. Jay was still the Red Hood, and that part of him wasn't going away. Granted, he had taken a few steps back from Red Hood as Jay Gatsby kept him busy. It wasn't perfect, but again, it felt good, and he wasn't alone. Stephanie was elbowing him now, talking about something, but her voice was faint against Jason's thoughts and feelings. Slowly, he pulled himself from the thought as he gently smiled at Barbara, who gave a slightly concerned look. Seeing Jason smile, her shoulders relaxed, and Jason felt his smile grow a little more. That sounds good. What else have you got for me? I'm reading this one blind, because I am of the opinion I'm gonna like it regardless. Background information, if I'm a little bit more ASMR-y today. My mom is sick, so she is in the other room. The doors are closed, and at the level I'm talking at, I don't think she can even hear the slight whisper of me, but it still freaks me out. But nothing more. Barbara's, but it's But if it's seriously fucking hell. Hey baby girl, I haven't seen you in ages. I know you're a fictional character, but oh my god, I haven't read the words Sif Wolf of Legend in ages. Call me out, why don't you? Christ, you could just start Wayland Asquith. Stephanie? We're back at Stephanie. A fan fiction reading, you say?